Back to the Relatably Rich podcast. And like, if you're watching the video portion of this podcast, welcome to the video portion. This has been something I've been wanting to do for the podcast for a hot freaking minute. If you know me, I love being on video. I love being able to connect with you. So now you can listen to me with your headphones in while you're driving the car, doing the dishes, but you can also curl up on the couch, be extra cozy, and like we can hang out face to face together. So I am so excited to be bringing a video element to the Relatably Rich podcast. But today, kind of leaning into this a little bit, I want to talk more with you about building the bestie vibe audience, the bestie approach. It has literally taken a world of its own. We literally started as talking about this a little bit on Instagram, more on TikTok, where it was just like treat your audience like a bestie. And this really came for me because in the beginning of my business, your girl didn't know how to be a bestie. Like I was literally, especially having conversations in the DMs with people that were interested with working with me. Miss Ma'am, let me tell you, I would have to do one of two things. Either record 17 different voice messages to make sure it was perfect, or I would write out almost like a script and then read the script as I was sending a voice message. So doing sales in the DMs felt very awkward for me. It was super hard. But even just in my copy, in my content, not too much on TikTok because I was kind of moving out of this when I got on TikTok, and TikTok definitely helped me really bring the bestie vibes like to my audience. But I really just thought I had to talk a certain way, I had to look a certain way in order to be taken seriously, in order to generate a shit ton of money. And it was really when I let go of all of that and I just had conversations with the women that wanted to work with me, with the women in my audience, when I started writing my copy and my captions, when I started showing up on video, when I started using my Instagram stories, when I started doing everything and treating my audience literally like they are my best friend, but also just being me. At the end of the day, people are craving connections. This is why the video content is taking off so much right now. And I literally just had a conversation with a girl who hopped into my private coaching, and she was like, it's so important that I work with someone who's on video, who understands the importance of video content. So Miss Ma'am, tap, tap, tap over there. If you are not leveraging video content, one, you're doing your business a disservice, but it will literally help you connect, convert, skyrocket your business and your community like no other. We know in this day and age, in this era of social media and running an online business, video content is everything. And because of that, for me, my TikTok is literally like the biggest lead generator I have. It's always, the content that I put out on TikTok is always, I don't want to say selling for me because I don't sell on TikTok. And I know I've taught you not to hard sell on TikTok, but it has a shelf life. I have a video that I posted probably in like April that I still get comments on, that I still get DMs about. So the algorithm continues to push that video out, but people continue to go to my profile to binge all of my content. It's always working. It's always doing the selling for me. It's always introducing people into my world. So we went on a little tangent there, but I really want to break down what it means to build a bestie vibe audience, the community that we have built. So if you've been tuning into the podcast, you know that we kicked off the Making Waves event. So this is inside the membership. And yesterday was our very first call that we did. And of course, when I'm doing the training, I'm like Miss Mammon all over the place. And the amount of women in the comments, because they just know me, everyone's saying Miss Ma'am. Everyone's like, trademark Miss Ma'am, like make merch that says Miss Ma'am, which honestly I really want to do because I think it's hilarious. So when you get your audience speaking your language, when you get your audience so tapped on, when your audience is like, it's so immersed in your world, that is when shit changes. And building a community, I cannot tell you how much I harp on you for this, how much I talk about this, but I really prioritize building a community, building something more than just money. And I always say, like, like lives changed over invoices paid, people over profits. And again, TikTok, not me like plugging TikTok for you all the time over here, but TikTok really allowed me to step into the energy of building a community because it's so natural for us. Like we're running an online business, right? We need to sell. We need to have, sales and cash move through the business in order for us to actually say, hey, I'm a business and I have clients and I have things like moving through the business. But when I got on TikTok, and so many women struggle with this when they get on TikTok. So like I was right there with you. It was so foreign for me to give value and like educate and serve, but not have a call to action to be like, if this resonates with you, or this sounds like you, jump in my program, or like sign up here. It was like, ooh, it felt weird. So when I really understood Instagram is where I sell. My email list, I don't really sell, but it's something that nurtures in the background. We have the podcast. Again, this is like a community building strategy, so to speak, a community building system that I have in my business. But TikTok especially, and this episode I promise isn't just going to be on TikTok, but TikTok especially really helped me tap into what it means to build a community, what it means to build the bestie vibes. You are serving with no expectation. You are giving without always needing to ask for a sale. And ironically enough, when you're in that energy of just genuinely loving on your people and genuinely giving, yes, ma'am, they're like, here's my credit card, like tossing it at you, because it's just a completely different vibe. And I know you've had this where you're either watching a video or you're having a conversation with someone privately in the DMs, they're pushing for a sale. And immediately, even if you were interested in this person's like to work with, you're like, ugh, ick, right? People feel that energy. It's the same thing with TikTok. It's the same thing. So the art of detaching from the outcome is one of the best and the biggest things that I focused on, that I want you to focus on when it comes to building that bestie vibe community. So we're going to kind of break this down a little bit because I talk about this a lot, and at the surface level, so to speak, where this all started was treat your audience like a best friend. Stop being cookie cutter. Stop being like a robot. Stop trying to sound like anybody else. Like just be you. And in the beginning of my business, when I was struggling with sales, stepping into let's just have a voice message with this girl like she is one of my best friends and just be me and crack my jokes and like be who I am, that really helped. But it's so much deeper than that. And I really want to unpack like the deeper layers of what it means to build a community, to build the bestie vibe audience. Because like I said, when it started for me, it was just treating my audience like a best friend. And it was also having a community and an audience that is like so tapped on, that is so engaged with you, that they're just like sucked into your content. They're so immersed in your world, and they're in the DMs with you, like cracking jokes, like the bestie vibes are just there. But like I said, as we as a community have grown, this evolution of what it means to build a bestie vibe, like the bestie approach has changed so much. I want to unpack on a deeper level what all of these things mean and how you can start to leverage them in your business. Because I truly believe with the way the industry is going, with how I really believe TikTok has changed so much in the online space for the better. But the way that it's going, the ones who are building a community, the ones who are building something bigger, the ones who are not just here to make money, they're the ones who are going to withstand, what's that saying? Withstand the stand of time, withhold the, whatever, you know what I'm saying here. They're the ones that are going to have the longevity, the sustainability. They're the ones people are going to gravitate towards, rather than people that are just here to sell an offer, here to sell something. Like, I want you to start to think bigger. What are you building? Not just a business, not just something that brings in 10, 20, 15, whatever K a month. It's like, no, like zoom out. We got to zoom out. So I'm going to be diving into this. Starting off with number one. Before we do anything, and again, this is something that this work is so important. I do this all of the time with my clients. You need to be okay being who the fuck you are online. Like, we got a botched nail over here. We're still showing up. I don't know why my nails always like pop off. But anyways, you need to be okay being who you are in the online space. Your personality needs to be front and center in your content, in your like in everything. That is part of it. Again, I want you to think back to when you're having a conversation with your best friend, you're being you. You're not hiding the parts of you. You're not turning the volume down on all of the things that make you, like the weird things, the quirks, like all of it. Like, you're in a space where you feel safe fully being who you are. And you need to bring that to the online space. And you need to be okay with not everyone loving it. Like, I don't know. I don't personally think I have like a lot of haters that I know of. Maybe I do, but it's just like, I don't care. I'm cool as a freaking cucumber if you like me or not. It's just, this is who I am, kind of take it or leave it type of thing. So when you come into the online space, and I'm going to give you this challenge, I want you strutting your freaking stuff. I want you being unapologetically who the fuck you really are. And I say this all the time, you get paid to be who the fuck you are. So I want you to just sit and be like, where am I dimming my light? Where am I hiding my story? Where am I turning the volume down on me? Where am I trying to fit in? Where am I trying to look like her? And it's just like, we got to strip all of that away. And I need you to just show up unapologetically as who you are. And in the beginning, if you're not doing this as of now, it's going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel like an exposed nerve because you're like, ooh, I feel like I'm on spotlight. But this is part of the work that comes with building a business, is loving yourself, is being so confident in who you are, in your messaging, in your offers, that you're like, of course I'm going to show up as who I am. Of course I'm going to scream and shout this from the rooftops because it's the best thing ever. So part of really bringing those bestie vibes to your content, the way that you show up, comes from like your inner confidence, comes from how much you accept yourself, comes from how much you are in love with who you really are. And that is the work that I do with clients, that I still do on myself every single day, building your confidence. Because if you are not so in love with who you are as a person and your personality and all the things that make you you, it's going to be very hard to show up and show up unapologetically in the online space. So the first thing when it comes to building that bestie vibe audience is you need to be who you are. Not like me, not like her. Like when you are having a conversation with your best friend, when you're cracking jokes, when it's girls' night, like that is who you need to bring to the online space, because that's what stands out. At the end of the day, whatever industry that you are in, whatever niche that you are in, you're not the only one. I'm not the only business coach. I'm not the only person with a membership. I'm not the only business coach with a mastermind. There are hundreds, thousands of them. But what draws people to me, is who I am. And who I am then bleeds into my content, bleeds into my messaging, bleeds into how I create my offers, and I infuse me into that. That's what draws people in. So think about that as well. Like when you're creating your offers, like if you're not even in love with them, selling them is also going to feel like a drag and a freaking half. But from the foundation of building that bestie vibe audience, it comes from that inner confidence. It comes from you being like, this is who I am. And when I'm going to have a conversation with someone in the DMs who's interested in working with me, when I'm showing up on TikTok, when I'm selling on Instagram stories, like I'm just being me. And this also plays into, because I get this question all the time, like, how are you not burnt out? You're here, you're there, you're lot. And it's just like, because I'm not trying to be anything I'm not. That is where the burnout and the exhaustion and the imposter syndrome come from. That is where the lack of fun. That is why my business is all about the play, all about the fun. Because, Miss Ma'am, if you're not having fun, like, what are we even doing here? Do I have days where every day feels super exciting and fun? No, but overall, my life, my business as a whole is a freaking roller coaster, not a roller coaster, but like I feel like I'm at the carnival. It's like, it's so fun. It's so exciting because I'm just being me, because I've just let go of what I should do and what I need to do. And it's just like, no, this is me. So that's another thing too. Like if you feel so exhausted in showing up, you're probably not exhausted from the work that you're doing. It's probably who you're trying to be behind the work, who you're trying to be when you're creating. And if it's not you, there's only so much. Like it feels like you're just butting your head against the wall. You're like, this isn't clicking, this isn't connecting. So that was the first thing that I did, and I want you to do is just you. And this is a process. This doesn't happen like tomorrow. You watch this podcast and you're like, okay, cool. I'm fully myself online. This is a process. And if, like I said, if you're getting into this, give yourself time, give yourself grace, be okay with it being uncomfortable as shit, because it will be. If you've been doing this work for a while, continue to push, continue to peel back those layers. This is something, again, like who I was 6 months ago versus now is totally different. I've had a few of you who have listened to podcast episodes from like late 2022, and they're like, you're so different. And I'm like, yeah, I know, because I'm changing, because I'm growing, because the more I do this work, the more like who I really am comes out. And then it's like, just when I think I'm done, it's like, oh, we got another layer and another layer. So tangent, but that was essential, is really just being who you are. And dropping the rules of I need to sound like this in the DMs, or I need to be professional on like the sales call, or whatever that is for you. Like just be you. I promise that is not only enough, that's all you need. So that was number one. Number two, and again, this is something that took me a long time to really get to, and I will say TikTok helped me tremendously with this, is detaching from the outcome. Detaching from the outcome. When you are having conversations with clients or with potential clients in the DMs, when you are even serving your existing clients, maybe they're coming up to the end of their contract, when you are posting content, when you are writing emails, if the energy behind that is I need to make a sale, it needs to happen now, you've missed the point. Disconnected energy right there. You are only showing up for the money. You're only showing up for the sale. And I get it. I'm all about making a shit ton of fucking money. Do not get me wrong. But that is not what's driving you. And if that's the only thing that's driving you is just to make money, Miss Ma'am, you might as well close up shop right now, because it's not enough. It's not enough to just want the money. I got into entrepreneurship not for the money. I knew that was the potential to make that money was there 100%. But I got into it because of how helping people made me feel. So when my first business, when I was a personal trainer, and this is again the thing that's kind of like bled into what I do now. I don't know why I keep saying like bled into, like why those words anyways, but welcome to a real life podcast with Courtney. But when I was helping women in my first business as a personal trainer, I helped them with their nutrition. I helped them, obviously transform their body, get stronger in the gym. So physically they looked different. But what really hit my heart and what kept these clients going wasn't how they physically looked. If they lost X amount of weight, if their body fat or their body composition changed and they had, more muscle mass, like it wasn't that. It was the moment when they were doing something that the old version of them couldn't even fathom. It was the moment when they were doing a deadlift and they were like, holy shit, I can't even believe I did that. It was the moment when their mind was stronger than the voice of doubt and they did it anyways. And that feeling for them and for me to witness that was like, this is what I meant to do. And as I evolved and as I grew and I moved out of the health and wellness space and into the coaching space, I love watching women make money. I love watching women quit a job that doesn't light them up and go full time in their business. I love watching women have more time to be present with their families and their loved ones and their friends. Don't get me wrong, but it's who they become that floors me. It's witnessing that journey. And I have clients who go through this crazy journey in weeks. And in the grand scheme of our life, like to have this big transformation, this awakening, this aha moment in a few weeks is like amazing. So to witness that is why I got into the coaching space, is why I got into entrepreneurship for that. That is what drives me. The fuck you money that comes in is a bonus. And I know that's part of the game of entrepreneurship, but you got to dig deeper than just, I want to make money. Why? What is it for? What are you building beyond just you? You got to go bigger than just you. And I know everyone always says this, have a why. And for so long, I struggled with like, what's my why? Like I would be like, to be financially free, to travel the world, to live a yes life, like all of the shit that we say. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. It's just, it's not deep enough. There needs to be depth. So when I was really learning to detach from the outcome, if you want to invest and work with me, cool. If you don't, cool. Like I am literally neutral either way. And that is something that when it comes to money, like I'm so neutral with it now, where I used to be like so triggered by it. This is work that has been gone into my business and to me for months and months and months, and I still do it. I don't stop doing this work. But when you can really detach and understand, and this is again where that confidence comes in, I know what I have is changing people's lives without a doubt. I've seen it. I've witnessed it. And if you're just getting started, you've changed your own life. That's why you're here. So for me, it's like that confidence, and it's not like a matter of being cocky. It's just that sureness. If this offer isn't right for you, if I'm not the right coach for you, I am cool. You were on your own path. I am setting you free to find someone who's going to give you what you need. And to bring this back to how TikTok really helped me with this is because I was posting 3 to 4 videos a day. I'm still posting around like 2 to 3 videos a day on TikTok. But in the beginning, I was putting out all of this content that was really valuable, that was like really specific, that was like, people would always comment and be like, I've paid thousands of dollars for what you just shared in a 3-minute video. Like it still is super valuable, high potent, like you can make money if you watch my free content type of vibe. And to give that with no call to action, with no results, with no sales initially that came in, was like, why am I even wasting my time? Like, it's not even generating sales. It's just I'm putting out all this content and all this effort and nothing's happening, right? Like, I'm sure you felt that in some capacity, whether that's with TikTok or not. But the reason why I want to focus here on TikTok is because TikTok is your community building platform. It is your top of the funnel. It is your visibility platform. It is not where you are sitting there hard selling with your call to actions for people to come, apply here, link, and like we do that on Instagram. So that was a mind fuck for me because I was like, I'm so used to selling. And there's nothing wrong with selling, but it was like to go on TikTok and not do that, I had to detach. And in the beginning, my content was almost like I was trying to gatekeep because I was like, I don't want to give away all of this. Like, you don't even paid me, bitch. Like, you know what I mean? Now, it's again, like people are like, I've had so many comments and DMs from people who have made money by just watching my TikTok. They are seeing incredible results from just watching my free TikTok. I detached. So I started giving more. And a lot of the times we try and hold back. We're like, I don't want to give it all away. And for me, I understand that energy is being scarcity. There's not enough. So I can't give it all away. I give so much to my audience. I give so much to my TikTok content. And I truly have zero expectation. I genuinely post it because I want people to see results, because I want people to walk away from watching a video or a few videos of mine and have something click for them to be like, shit, that changed everything for me. I'm going to save this and I'm going to implement this lesson and then see the results from that. And because I've detached, my energy when I go into it is pure. It is literally for the purposes of helping you, for helping my audience. And when I see the comments and when I see everyone so immersed, and this is also what keeps people coming back. If you're gatekeeping all your shit, you're not really helping anybody. Now, this isn't to say that you give away all of your paid programs for free, but you give. And you don't sit there and you think, oh, this is too much. Give. There's no end to how much that you can serve people. You're not capped where it's like, oh, like I can't, there's nothing else I can say. Like there's no end to how much you can serve. So when I started doing that and TikTok really helped me, I got to detach because everything that I, up until then, was like every piece of content was selling, like a hard sell, call to action, link in bio, DM me, apply. So when I got on TikTok and I was doing none of that and I was literally just giving, I was like, this feels awkward. Like, this feels weird. But because the energy behind that was pure detachment and pure, like, I'm just here to help you, the fuck you money came in. That the sales started rolling in, that people would see my content. And I get this all the time. Like people from my TikTok go over to my Instagram, into my DMs or onto my stories and convert within like 24 to 48 hours. It's not because I'm doing any sort of call to actions. It's not because I'm gatekeeping any secrets. It's the opposite. It's because I am giving. You're not gatekeeping with your best friend. If she's going through something and you have advice and you have the solution and you know how you can help her shift perspectives, you're not sitting there being like, buy me dinner and then I'll tell you. You're like, no, let me fucking help you. Like, here, I went through this. This is what I did. And guess what? She keeps coming back. She keeps asking for advice. She keeps leaning on you. Your relationship strengthens, it deepens. She's like, you're always there for me. You got my back. You're never manipulating me just to get something for you to help me. Think about that, right? Like when you're having a conversation with like a really good friend, you don't expect her to do something for you first before you help her. You just help. You just give. And you know that the relationship, it will be reciprocated. She'll be there for you. She keeps coming back. Your relationship, again, it strengthens. So when I talk about treat your audience like a best friend, it really comes to like these depths and the detaching, because I've been there when I'm showing up on social media with my content, and it's like the intention behind everything is I need to make money. I need to make a sale. And that the women that are able to detach and just be in their power and be in their energy and be in their confidence and know what I have is amazing. So I'm not going to gatekeep it. I'm just going to give and know it's coming back. That's the self-trust too. I talk about this, I think it was the last episode where we were talking about creating illogical results. The self-trust, knowing it's going to come back. And I've always had that belief. So detaching from the outcome so you could just be in your heart. And again, when you're having conversations with people in the DMs, if maybe you're doing discovery or sales calls, it's that energy again. So I want to share something. I don't know if I think I've shared this on TikTok, but the mastermind that I have. So we started mid-May, I think it was. I had 16 people that applied to that mastermind. And there's 4 women in the mastermind. They are incredible. They are the most incredible women ever. I love them all. If you're listening, you know who you are. But I had 16 women that applied, and I only accepted 4. Now, from a sales perspective, that's literally like I could have made 3 times more money if I took on, I wasn't going to take on 16 people in a mastermind. That would have been too much for me. But let's just say I did. That literally would have been like, I would have made so much more money. Even if I took on 10, took on 6 more girls. But when I was talking to these women, when they applied, when they DM'd me, when they asked for the information and I gave it to them and I had a conversation, because this is the thing, I'm going to get into this in the next point, have conversations with people. Like, we've forgotten that on the other end of the phone is a human being who has a business, who has a heart, who has a vision for their life. And we're just like, oh, here's a link, okay, bye. So especially with like your mid and your high ticket offers where it's like small intimate groups, like you gotta know who's coming into these groups. You can't just take anybody. And if you're chasing just the money, you're taking just anybody because that's all you're focused on. Not the client experience, not how all the women are gonna work together. You're not paying attention to that. You're like, cool, 16 people times however much my mastermind is equals shit ton of money. That's not the bestie vibes. That's not what keeps people coming back for more. And that's also when you do that, you're always operating almost like month to month or client to client. As soon as a client contract comes up, like they're gone. Client retention is huge. This is also like what tells me if you are really leaning into building a community and loving on your people. If you have no client retention, if people are not reinvesting back in you, it's either because your client experience sucks or your product suite isn't set up to support the next step for them. And I see a lot where people will just take on clients just to take on clients. They don't say no. So when I was having conversations with these women that were not welcomed, but I didn't welcome them into the mastermind out of integrity, but also, again, because I genuinely care. There were a few women that were just not a right fit for my style of coaching and for how I coach. I just knew in the conversation this wasn't going to be a good fit. So lovingly, I said, I wish you all the best, but like I don't think we're gonna drive together. And a lot of people say like, oh, when you say no, it's like you're closing on. No, it's not like I closed down all those doors. It's not like I said no to money. It was the opposite. I let them go so they can now go find the right coach for them so they can succeed because I genuinely care. Rather than being like, I know this is probably not going to be a good fit, but here's like a mid 4-figure investment. Cool, come on in. Like there was one girl, she was like kind of begging me and I was like, no. Now, for some of the other women that applied, they were just not at the stage in their business that they needed to be for them to get the most out of the mastermind. They were at a little bit more of like the earlier stages in business where the girls currently in my mastermind are a little bit more like seasoned entrepreneurs. They've been in it. They understand content creation. There's lessons that I teach in this mastermind because it is a hybrid mastermind. So there's a lot of like the strategy. We have monthly lessons, but then we also have like the pure mentorship. So I knew that they wouldn't get the most out of it, that they would feel a little lost in the sauce and a little like behind, so to speak, because they weren't yet at that level that they needed to be to fully get the most out of that investment. So I downsold them in 2 different offers to continue to support them. That is a big part of building the Bestie Vibe community. Because when you are having conversations with people, when people consume your content, that is like their first impression of you. So if you're having conversations with people in the DMs and you're just pushing for a sale, they're probably like, that's what they remember you for. I want you to think about that. Your content is what makes people remember you or not. The impression that you give people when you're having conversations on a sales call in the DMs, that's what they remember. That is the start of like the sales experience. And this also comes into the client retention. If someone joins into a program of yours or invests and like the client experience, how they initially were sold into the offer, everything kind of leading into it was like, this feels kind of awkward, or like they don't feel loved on, client retention is probably going to be low. So when you have people in your world, inside, your offers and your services, how are you loving on them? How are you over delivering and under promising? How are you wowing them? So I'll share a few things that I've done in the past to really help with the client experience. And again, this is just part of me being me and me genuinely caring. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy or like monumental. Like it really doesn't. So one of the things that I like to do with private clients and like small group and masterminds is I'll randomly just throw in my Starbucks card, like my Starbucks barcode. And I'm like, I'm so proud of you. Starbs on me today. That literally floors people. One, we love Starbs. We operate on coffee. And I know most entrepreneurs do as well. So that little bit of just like, oh shit, I wasn't expecting this. People get into a mentorship container, let's say it's a mastermind, and you've laid out exactly what they're going to get, which we need to do. But in addition to that, how are you wowing them? How are you going the extra mile? There's a difference, and you may have people like this. Let's go back to like the bestie, the friend example. You have a friend who is consistent. She shows up for you. She's the typical, she checks all the boxes of being a great friend, and she is. But then you have another friend who just goes above and beyond for you. Like you're having a bad day, she's sending you flowers. She's showing up randomly with like a lasagna for you. Like she goes the extra mile. You're always wowed by that friend. You come over, she's got like the charcuterie board out. She's like, we got the cozy blankets. Like we're ready. Like she's over delivering. She's loving on you. And not because she's expecting anything from you. It's just because it's who she is. She goes the extra mile. She holds that standard in her life and in her relationships to show up 120%. And you need to start doing that too in your programs. So yes, look at what you offer in your services and your programs, the calls, the modules, the lessons. How can you go above? How can you really love more on your clients? So again, something little that I do, so it's so simple. Starbs on me. And it's just random too. Like it's really just kind of intuitively when I'm like, oof, I want to Starbs today. Let's treat and love my other girls too. Second thing that I've done is, and again, this is most of the time it's like an in the moment intuitive. It's not like I have this planned out. I think that's also the beauty of it. I had a private client who was just having like a hard time with life. Like life was lifing. And I sent her dinner. Like I Ubered her dinner. She was having like a bad day. We were like talking about food and I was like, and I sent it to her house. She was floored. She was like, I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you remembered, you thought about me to the point where you did that. And again, these things don't need to be like where you're spending thousands of dollars. Like dinner on me. You're having a tough time. I'm thinking about you. Beyond just business, I genuinely want to be involved in my client's life. Like I want to know, because how we do life affects business. And I say this all the time, like who you are and business and life is integrated. And a lot of the times what knocks us off of our feet in business isn't usually business stuff, it's life stuff. There was another time, this actually happened more recently. So for me, my Voxer hours when I'm in Voxer with clients ends at 4:45. That's when my phone will go on. I have like a focus on my iPhone and it shuts down automatically all of my work related apps. So Voxer, emails, Google Doc, like everything gets notifications off. And I was having a conversation with a client and she was just going through the fields like we all do. The dumpster fire days, as we call them. She she was tearing up. She was having a hard time. And it was 4:45. And we were kind of still chatting back and forth. And we hadn't yet kind of moved through it to a point where like she felt like she had a little bit more clarity around things. And let me tell you, there is nothing worse than, I don't know about you guys, but maybe it's like the Libra in me, but if I'm like having a bad day and I don't feel any sort of resolution, I'm pacing. I'm like, oh my God, like I need to get out of my head. Like I'm just like, I need some sort of resolution to like feel at peace. So I know that. And I've been in what she was going through, that what she was sharing in Voxer. So at 4:45, I could have said, I'm logging out. Let's pick this up tomorrow, which would have been fine. My clients are very aware of my office hours. Those are the boundaries that I set, and they all respect them. But I went to my phone and I was like, I'm going to turn this focus off. And I stayed in Voxer with her till about 7:00. Again, crossing my own boundaries, but for the purposes of serving and genuinely caring about this client and what she was going through. And at the end of it, she was so grateful. She had so much more clarity. And the next day, she was like fired up, ready to frickin' go. So it's the little things that you do when you have people in your world and your community that wows them. So I want you to start to think about, how are you playing it safe? How are you doing exactly what you promise? But how are you going the extra mile? How are you doing more than is expected? Another thing that I'm doing for my current mastermind girls, so most of the girls in my mastermind have memberships. So the carts have closed as of recording this for Making Waves. They will be reopening for anyone that wants to join, which you should, end of July. So I said to the girls in the mastermind, because it was kind of a unique launch in terms of like there's a double cart open and close. There were 2 VIPs. It was an event inside my membership. Like it was kind of constructed in a way that was very different than traditional launches that I have done, but also I somewhat feel like how other people do. So I sent like a few voice messages kind of breaking down like the method to my madness, because I like sharing, what's kind of coming up for me and what's working for me with my clients. So all of the girls were like, yes, like tell us the tea. I want to know like what is happening like inside this launch. Like they want to hear like, again, like the strategy and what kind of went in behind it. So we had the second month of the six figure project mastermind is all about launching. So at the end, I added on, and I'm going to be hosting an additional bonus call for the girls, like no extra cost, like literally just helping them, doing a full breakdown of this launch. Exactly what went into it, exactly like the strategy, how I planned it out, how I mapped it out, because they've been asking for it, and because I genuinely think it will help them. Because most of the girls do have memberships, but also just like hearing, again, like how someone else launches and seeing the strategies they put in place is always really helpful. Going above and beyond. I'm totally cool hosting an extra call for them because they need it. I'm not going to be like, oh, well, it's not in the contract. How are you going above and beyond with your community? Which kind of leads me to my next point, is how are you loving on your community that isn't yet invested in your world? Are you building a community? Have you named your community? And you guys know, Miss Ma'am. Miss Ma'am, like that has just become like the language of our community. Don't ask me where it came from. I literally have no idea. It started on TikTok and it's just like snowballed. And I get so many of the girls in my TikTok audience that will like tag or share, or I think it's like stitch or duet, and they'll like hashtag Miss Ma'am, or they'll be like, loved this Miss Ma'am. Like my audience is speaking my language. So the bestie vibe really started with building a really engaged and loyal audience, not building a following, building a community. I've just named it a bestie vibe audience. Like that was just a term that that's what we called it. So look to your language, look to your messaging. Like, do you have a name for your community? Do you have a name that you call the women in your audience? These are the little things that get people to not only immerse themselves in your world, but you become memorable. Because everyone is talking about this and that and selling this, and you're over here fully being yourself and also using your own language. So everyone in my community now is speaking Miss Ma'am. Everyone always asks about Skittles. Like she's literally something that is just so small in the sense of like she just sits in the background of my TikTok videos, but everybody knows Skittles. The little things that make you stand out, that make you memorable. So building the Bestie Vibe community was something that I just coined myself that really caught on, even though what it means is building an engaged community. I called it building the Bestie Vibe community, the Bestie approach. That's just something that's on brand for me, but it's something that is different. So it's stuck. The Miss Ma'am. Again, that just kind of came out of nowhere on TikTok, but it's like a coined word in our community. We talk about it. Like, I have my clients and they'll be like, hey, Miss Ma'am. They'll hashtag it. They'll tag me in TikTok videos and they'll say it. My audience is speaking my language, which I know they're fully immersed in my world. So if you don't have these elements to your community yet, it's very easy for people to just drop off, for them to not connect, for them to not feel like fully in your world. Another thing as well, and this is so simple, I do this a lot on TikTok, is when people are responding or people are leaving comments, I always, if they have, most people have their name in their TikTok handle, I'll respond back and I'll put their name in. I'll be like, you know what, Rebecca, like, thank you so much for this comment. I'm so glad this hit home for you. Rather than just being like, thanks girl, heart. Go the extra mile. When people are like, oh, like she actually took the time. And like a lot of the times if people don't have their name in their handle, which don't make me come for you. If your name is not in your handle, I hate that. There are so many people, I did a TikTok video on this, that literally I go to their profile and I'm like, what's your name? It's not even there. Like I have to go to your website about me section to figure out what your name is. So, side note, but sometimes I will go to their profile if their name isn't in their handle and I'll see it in their bio. Again, it's the little things of going the extra mile. So this is also how, like I said, when it comes to the client retention, loving on your people, going above and beyond, like over delivering, under promising, wowing them, going that extra mile, naming your community, detaching from the outcome. And this is work. You got to figure out what you're doing this for. And it's got to be more than money. If you didn't get paid $1, would you still be doing this? I would. I would do this for free because I genuinely love this work. So expanding beyond just the money. And when you can do that and you can hold on to something bigger of what you're creating, that's where you can detach more. If you're not on TikTok, you got to get on TikTok. TikTok is your community building platform. So if you are looking to build a community, you need to be on there. It will also help you come out of your shell more because TikTok is a very unfiltered, authentic space. You don't got to wear makeup. You don't, like, they have filters, but like, no, don't use them. Just be you, be raw, be who you are. And when you show up and you serve and you have no expectations, the art of detachment becomes a lot easier. And then when the money comes in, you're like, I get this. I get what this is about. When you send those voice notes to potential clients and you're just cracking jokes and you're being who, or maybe you're not a joker, you're just being who you are. You're not trying to follow some script. If you have a DM script, throw it out. Everything needs to be personalized. It needs to be custom. It needs to be for what that person on the other side of the phone, the other human being, needs. And if they're not yet ready to invest for whatever reason, cool. I am cool as a cucumber, like I always say. This is also where part of what I call we leave no bestie behind is having a product suite, having offers and programs that can support the women in your audience at all stages, at all pain points that they have, at all price points. So if someone isn't yet ready to invest in my mastermind or in Fast 5, that's okay. No shame here. I got a membership, $97, pop into it. Another thing as well, like I see a lot of people do this where they'll have conversations with potential clients. And if that client in that hot minute doesn't convert or they're not ready, it's like they ghost them, they unfollow them. And I'm like, again, that is you just being in it for the money. Being like, not following you then. Bye. I don't coach for free in the DMs. Like you're either in or you're, it's like, get over yourself, Miss Ma'am, if you're doing that. I know you're not, but some people do. And I've had a lot of people who are now clients that have said, like, thank you for just having a freaking conversation with me. Thank you for just sending me a voice message. Because I'm not attaching a timeline to when people need to invest in my offers. I am so confident in where I'm going and what I'm building that the women who are meant to come into these programs when I launch them are meant to, and the women who aren't. And it's nothing, there's no difference to if you're in my world investing or if you're not and you're just consuming my content. Like, there's no difference in how I treat people. It's the same. So that is what I have for you today, my love. I hope you have enjoyed the video element of the podcast if you are tuning into the video. If not, I will leave in the show notes the link if you are listening just to the audio and you want to come hang out with me. Send me a DM. Let me know how you're liking this vibe of the video element. If you are interested, again, in joining the Making Waves event, doors are going to be reopening end of July. So hang tight. Come hang out on my Instagram stories and see what the whole freaking party is about. If you are kind of sitting on the fence and want to join in end of July, like I said, I will be reopening the doors. The women inside, let me just say, they are their own breed. Like, they are just the most insane action takers. Everybody is so freaking helpful in that group. I am just so proud of the community so far. And we are like not even 1 week into this event. So I know the next 2 months is going to be absolutely epic. I will talk to you on Instagram. I will see you on TikTok, and I will tune in with you next week on the Relatably Rich podcast.